Hi, Dr. Webb. Um, this article basically talked about the importance of understanding your students and knowing their backgrounds and where they're coming from, and how you can accommodate and help them feel included in your orchestra ensemble. Um, so, um, One thing that they talked about is being put on the spot for playing tests. Playing tests could discourage them from participating in the ensembles. So, just in general, making sure that you read their 504 or their IEP and you understand um, what accommodations you need to make for your student. Because if you give them a playing test and they have an accommodation where they need extra time or something along those lines, you need to make sure that when you grade the student, you're grading them equally according to their plan. So it would just be unfair to put them on the same level as other students when they need accommodations to succeed and do as well as other students. Um, Also, knowing things like transportation and how to help your students in that aspect. So, if you're going on a field trip, making sure that a student may be in a wheelchair, they have the proper transportation that they need. So, basically, they don't feel left out of the ensemble, and the ensemble is able to function without, like making them feel bad for, having that accommodation. Basically, just making sure that you're doing the best that you can for that student because they need extra support. Also, determining how the student learns best. So, and communication is really important between you and the student and you and the parents as well. So, getting that better understanding of what the student needs by talking directly to the parent will show that you're putting your best foot forward and trying to be as being able to accommodate the best that you possibly can, because you don't want to leave students out. And in order to be like a great teacher, you have to make sure that all of your students feel like you're putting your 100% in to the ensemble. Communicating with the parents and with the student too, because you can read the 504 plan and the IEP, but if you have like a one-on-one meeting with the student with the plan, you might be able to better understand what will work best for them, because you can only know so much from an IEP, even though it could be lengthy, but hearing what the student needs instead of assuming directly from the IEP might help in some situations where an IEP or a 504 plan could be unclear. You could also use technology as a way to aid your students. So when I observed Mrs. Terreri over spring break, she had, and we also saw this when we went to observe as a class, but she had a microphone on her shirt that went directly to a cochlear implant in the student's ear. And she actually told me that the student, he's a violinist, he was playing first violin, but he couldn't hear frequencies above like fifth position or something, or like seventh or something high. So she moved him to the second violins, and she was talking about how she actually talked about a lot of. She had another student who had a learning disability, and she wrote in like every single pitch on her music, but it wasn't like, it was a finger number and a number that would correlate to the string that she had to play it on. And she was a really sweet kid and like super smart, but like she just had a like learning disability. So she talked a lot about how she had to communicate with her students to figure out what would work best. And she found a solution. And then another thing that the article talked about was simplifying parts for students. So if you do have a student like the girl who wrote in the finger numbers, you could think about simplifying the part for her, like writing a part that isn't as like technically difficult, so she can feel like she's putting in the same amount of effort as the other students, so it's not unfair to her.